Well, here we go. My review of Lord of the Rings Episode 3. Now, like I said with the first two episodes, there are multiple plot lines in this show, and it does jump around a bit. So instead of breaking down the episode scene by scene, at least for now, I'm going to just go plot line by plot line. So the first thing I have to praise are the orcs in this episode. They are just as sinister and vicious as they were in the movies. They look really great, honestly. I think if you took a picture of the orcs from this show, you could probably convince somebody that it was a picture from one of the movies. They did a fantastic job with the orcs. But there is a little bit of a CGI problem. Not on the orcs, but there's a scene near the end of the episode where one of the orcs calls for, I guess, dog, but it's not really a dog, but it's the orcs' attack dog, basically. And let's just say the CGI in the movies that came out 20 years ago is a lot more convincing than the show made now. And I don't think there's an excuse for that because Amazon invested millions into this show. So the CGI should look a lot more convincing. And there's also a part where one of the characters that's in this orc prison camp does a slow-mo backflip over this thing, which people are either going to think that's really cool or they're going to find it silly. And I'm in the camp that finds it really silly. It felt kind of out of place for Lord of the Rings. Because when I think of Lord of the Rings, I think back. I get, Legolas surfing down the steps and Return of the King. I guess it's no sillier than that, but I don't know. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Another plotline in this episode, of course, is Galadriel, and I forgot the other character's name, but they're on this island and they're trying to find these scrolls that have the Black speech written on them, and I thought that was a nice little bit of world building. They're talking about how Sauron has had many names, and I love how they're expanding this world. And now I can say that so far, my favorite character in the show is Halbrand. He sort of reminds me of Han Solo. He's sort of the suave, sly, witty character. He's just so darn cool. So now, regarding the plotline of the Brandyfoot Village, I love how they're giving more lore to Hobbit culture. At least I think they're hobbits. They haven't said otherwise, but until they do, I'm going to call them hobbits. But correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, this Hobbit village is making this exodus to some other place. They haven't said where. Maybe they did, I just forgot. And this is the plot line that kind of resonated with me the most this episode, because it's extremely reminiscent of Latter-day Saint pioneers. And actually, I think I heard one of the writers for the show was a member of that church, so I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the parallels were intentional. And I really felt for this plot line as the village leader is reading off the names of those who didn't make it. That was actually a really emotional scene. And I'm also really liking this Eleanor Brandyfoot character. I'm liking her spunk. She's an interesting character. She's kind of a fun character. I'm excited to see what they do with her and her giant friend. And finally, Emma Horvath shows up in this episode as a character called Yarwin. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And if I didn't know that she was from California, I would totally think that she was British. She has a very convincing British accent. And actually, if you close your eyes, she actually kind of sounds like Emma Watson, which I guess makes sense because everyone in my generation learned the British accents from watching Harry Potter. Now, she's not in the episode very much. She's only in it for maybe the last 10 minutes. And I don't really know, all we really know about this character right now is she's the sister of, I forget the character's name, but she's the sister of like one of the main characters. And I really liked her in this episode. I'm excited to see where they take her. Honestly, I'm rooting for all the characters in the show. Well, at least the ones on the good side, obviously. I'm not rooting for the villains. I'm not that crazy. Yeah. But I'm excited to see where the story for the show goes. I'm excited to see what happens to these characters. I'm very excited to see what they do with the world of Middle-earth overall. I cannot wait for next week. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Did I miss anything? What are the characters' names I'm forgetting? Please let me know in the comments.